Welcome to the StitchArtist sessions, Digitizing with Embrilliance. I'm Debbie Cleek with Embrilliance Software, and I will be your host today as we team up with EmbroideryDesigns.com. EmbroideryDesigns.com is your one-stop shop for all things embroidery with more than 800,000 distinct embroidery files. We also sell fonts, threads, stabilizers, and much more. Yes, we have specials, 10% off all Embrilliance products with coupon code STITCH22, 50 free embroidery designs with purchase of Embrilliance products, 10 free Embrilliance BX fonts with purchase of Embrilliance products, plus free shipping on all stabilizers and adhesives. I know you're anxious to see StitchArtist, and I am eager to show you, so let's get started. Okay, here we are at my Essentials screen, and you can tell I have StitchArtist installed because I have the Create button here. If you hover your mouse cursor over, you'll see it says Create. This is the button that I click on to open StitchArtist to be able to create designs. So I'm going to click on that. This is my level 1 toolbar for StitchArtist level 1. I've got my image handling, I've got my drawbar, and I've got my stitches to apply. So all nice and neatly organized, and it stays this way all the way through level 2 and level 3. So it's always easy to navigate when you upgrade through the levels. Now the first thing we need to do if we're going to create a design is we need an image on the screen to create a design from. So I'm going to go to my image button, and I'm going to bring in this little golf image here. Click on the golf image, click on open, and then you need to decide how I want to draw that image. I've got all these draw tools here, and my first one I'm going to tell you is my go-to. It's the draw with points. It defaults to draw with curve, and if you hold down your shift key, then you get a straight line. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by drawing the heart with the draw with points tool. And then I'll show you a super snazzy way to draw your artwork when it's this good and this clean and this simple. So I'm going to click on my draw with points tool. Start at the point. Go all the way around the edge. Try to use as few nodes as possible. I try to go to the high points and the low points. Don't worry about those little hiccups. We'll talk about Bezier handles in just a moment. And now I'm going to use my close shape tool. There we go. Now it does need a little bit of editing, and this tool here turns on and off the Bezier handles. Now, what are Bezier handles, you say? When I click on a node, you notice I have these two handles that stick out on either side. Those are my Bezier handles. Those I can use to adjust my curve. You can also right-click on and change a curve to a cusp, a line, symmetric, or you can copy that node. what we're going to do is change to a cusp. And that's probably the most common change you'll use, except for, well, symmetric. Sometimes you might want the same curve on both sides of your node, so you might change to symmetric. I'm going to change to cusp because when I click on this node, I want to be able to change each side of my Bezier. Whoops, it's not. There we go. I want each side of my Bezier to come from a different direction. So you see, it comes in from one side and then out from another. That's what I want. And I'm going to do the same thing up here at this top one. I'm going to select that point, that node. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to change it to a cusp. That's going to allow me again to be able to change that so it comes in from one direction and goes out in a different direction. Let's zoom in on this so it's a little bit easier to, there we go. Now I can select my node and move it a little bit. And do a little bit of editing. Select my Bezier handle. See that handle there? There we go. Oh, there might be one other tiny area that I could edit a little bit more. There we go. Looks pretty good. Close enough for hand grenades. Now, if I want to see how good that really looks, I can come over here. This is my show or hide my background image button. So see, that does look pretty doggone good. Considering all we did was click around it, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times and then close our shape, and now it's ready to be filled. Change our color. And to change our color, we can search by name of color or number if the thread palette allows that. Let's change our thread palette altogether. I like there we go. There. Now we just digitized the first part of that design. But I'm going to select it and delete it. The next tool we're going to talk about, let's zoom out a bit so we can see the whole design on the design page. The next tool we're going to talk about is the magic wand for shapes, the shape magic wand. I'm going to click on that to select it. Then I'm going to come over here to my green heart, click on that, click on my flagpole, click on my flag, right click when I'm done, and this is ready to digitize, ready to apply stitches. So I'm going to apply cross stitch, cross stitch, and cross stitch. There we go. I've just created another design. And how many clicks was that? Okay, who was in charge of counting? By my count, it was 6 or 7 clicks and we created a design. Now, if I wanted to edit that, I certainly do. I have all these nodes here that I can edit. If I wanted to edit this heart, this heart shape, pardon my fluctuating voice. I've just gotten over COVID. So there we go. That is, well, as part of level 1. We're not finished yet. The next thing I want to show you is how to turn this into a quilt block and quilt around the outside of it. We're going to talk about this little guy here, the Add a Hole tool. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit more if I can. Oh, that's too much. There we go. I'm going to come over here to my quick shapes, pick up the square, draw a rectangle around this design. And now you see my Add a Hole tool is selectable. So I'm going to click on that. And it has automatically selected the Draw with Points tool. So I'm going to come over here and now I'm going to draw as close as I can to my design. I'll edit this a little bit. Okay, right click when you're done. And now you see I've got both of those in one area. Both of them as one object. And now I can fill that void between this line and the rectangle. I can fill that void, this part in here, with stippling. Okay? You following me so far? Now with the stippling, there are 4 different types of stippling. There's the drunkard, there's curvy, there's leafy, and there's geometric. This is editable. If I wanted to get that off the flagpole, I certainly could. But that's what it looks like. Okay? Next, let's get a new page. Let's go to image. Let's bring in some more artwork. Let's bring in this bowl and rolling pin design. And let's click on the design. So I have the Shape Magic Wand tool available again. And you'll see you have a sensitivity slide bar. We'll increase that a little bit. That'll make my wand a little more sensitive to changes like the straight line of the base of the bowl and the curve of the edge of the bowl. And then I can also have it look for holes if I wanted to. If I just had one thing in the center, I might want to have it look for holes. So it would not stitch or not select it. It would automatically add a hole to my design, basically. But since I have all these little circles here, I certainly don't want to... Since I have all these little hole or circles here, I certainly don't want to stitch around each one of those. So I'm not going to tell it to look for holes. I'm just going to click in the center. And now I've got a nice bowl design. Now we're going to fill it with some Motif Fill. I'm going to change the color first. Let's make it a bright pink so it's easy to see. Passion pink, what do you say? Okay, back to our Motif Fill. Let's click on our plus sign. Let's select this knot 2. Click OK. And there is our knot 2. Let's click on the plus sign again. Let's go to Decorative. Let's go to Decorative 7. Let's click on our plus sign again. Let's go to Larger. Let's go to Larger 12. And you see I'm just adding and adding and adding and building my motifs however I want them with as many motifs as I want. Now I can come back through here. I can select knot 2. I can make it larger. I could also make it smaller. I could take Decorative 7 and I can make it a bit larger as well. Each one of these, I can flip them. I can mirror image them. Let's take this one here and mirror image it. I can stagger them. Oh, that's an interesting look. Okay. So that is the motifs. The same thing is true of Motif Run. I can give it a Motif Run outline and assign as many different motifs as I want. One more thing I want to show you is how quickly and easily you can create an applique in StitchArtist Level 1. Let's scroll out just a bit. There we go. Perfect. Let's continue the good path we're on since we've had great luck with our Shape Magic Wand. Let's continue with that. I'm going to select it. I'm going to click in the rolling pin. Right click when I'm done. Straighten out these edges. And now come up here to the applique button. And now my rolling pin is an applique. Do I want it a satin stitch? Okay, there it is, a satin stitch applique. Now mind you, it does need a little bit of editing, but with just a tiny bit of editing, you would have the bowl, an applique rolling pin. You can move on to the spoon, move on to the wire whisk. I just want you to see how easy this is and how many tools are at your fingertips to work with. And we haven't even touched the regular fill stitch yet. Okay? So, text. We need to talk about text. Let's go back to our golf, our golf design here. Let's click on our True Type fonts. Do hole in one. Okay. Grab the green square in the middle, move it up to the top. We're going to use the satin column to fill that with. And there we go. Okay. So in level 1, we talked about bringing in image. We talked about showing and hiding the image. We can show and hide stitches as well. We talked about drawing with points. We talked about the shape magic wand. We talked about our Bezier handles. And just to let you know, when it comes to nodes in a design, less is more when you're drawing them. That's why I like to use the Bezier handles. That gets me 2 more editing points without having to add a node there. Because wherever you put a node, that needle has to puncture the fabric at that node. So that's where some of your muckety mucks come from in your designs, is if you put too many nodes when you're tracing. Okay, we talked about add a hole. We talked briefly about the fill stitch. We talked about the satin column. We talked about the motif fill and the motif run. So that's pretty much in level 1. And if we're going to make it to level 2 and level 3, we better get a move on. So I'm going to click on, I've got a special copy of StitchArtist. So I can click the create button. That'll take me to level 2, and you'll see right now I've got 2 new tools added. I've got a couple new stitches added, which we are going to talk about. We've got the inclination tool added and a couple new fill stitches, or line stitches. Okay, let's get a new design page. Oh, we also have a vector button. That means we don't have to bring in JPEGs anymore. We can bring in, well, let's see what we can bring in. We can bring in SVG, FCM, Studio, Studio 3, SCut 4, EMF, WMF, and AI files. So let's see if we can bring in an SVG file. Let's bring in the little elephants. And I'm just, for the sake of keeping things simple, I'm going to get rid of all the parts we're not going to digitize. There. We're going to focus on this big elephant here. And because I can bring in an SVG file, guess what? There's no need to trace my design. My design is already a design. I don't have to create the artwork like I did in level 1. SVG is already artwork, whereas my image was just that. It was a backdrop image that I had to create the artwork using the drawing tools from. So let's change our color. Let's come over here and click on the black. Let's change it to a nice gray color for our elephant. Banner gray will do. Select our large elephant. We can change it to a fill stitch, or fill it with a fill stitch, and make, we are showing stitches. We can emboss this. We can also choose a pattern and give it a pattern fill. Let's change it to snake and see what that does. See what that did? It gave it a little wave, a little scaly look. Okay, so there's the base for our elephant, but oh my gosh, how do I know where to put the eye and the ear and the little wrinkles in the elephant's trunk? Over here I have a show and hide stitches button that I can click on. That's going to hide my stitches. And it's also going to allow me to look at things like my inclination line. Do I want my inclination line to go straight across the elephant? Do I want it to go maybe at an angle? I can change that. I can also add more if I need to. To add more, I would simply select that tool and click and drag to add a second one. Now I am going to change my start and stop points. I'm going to start at the tail and I'm going to stop at the trunk. And now we're going to talk about some of the satin tools that have been added to level 2, because we need to make the ear next. We're going to make the ear next. So I'm going to click on the draw a column with a left and right alternating input. So let's show you how easy that is. I'm going to click, click. Right click on that. Now let's change the color so we'll be able to see it when we show our stitches. Let's change it to black. Type black in the search because I know Robus and Anton will search by colors. Black chrome is good. Now let's show our stitches. A little bit of editing on that. That's not too shabby. We can adjust our inclination lines. We can also adjust our nodes, just as we could before. See how easy it is? Whoops. Okay, so let's zoom back out. Now something I want to show you that's pretty cool. Let's hide our stitches again because we have to make this line right here. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to use my Draw with Points tool. And I'm going to use my Satin Border. I'm going to click, click, click. Right click when I'm done. Let's change my color. No, it's not giving me. So let's go back to Robus. I thought it would give me just the colors that were in the design, but it's not giving me that. Let's go to palettes. That's what I need to do. It'll give me the colors on the current page. If I go to palettes, it gives me my colors that are on the current page so I can quickly and easily choose my black chrome, show my stitches. And there we go. Now that looks okay. But could it look better? Sure it could. Let's come over here and select that. and then come over to the line nib adjustment. Adjust the line and nib styles. So I'm going to select that. Down here I have line thickness. I'm going to select 5 because I want it to get thin at both ends. And I want my nib at the end to be pointed and at the beginning to be pointed. So how's that? Okay, let's hide our stitches one more time. Let's come over here and get our quick shapes and draw a quick little circle. Fill it with satin column. Go to our color. Make sure it's set for black chrome. Click OK. Now let's select these little guys and fill them with satin column, satin column, and satin column. And we need to change these colored. I'm going to hold my shift key down so I can select both of them at the same time. Now let's show our stitches. There we go. There's our little elephant. Imagine if that were pink or blue for a little boy, baby boy or a baby girl, or maybe the mama elephant and the little baby elephant, pink or blue. How cute would that be? Okay, let's get a new design page. Let's come over here to our quick shapes. Let's bring in the polygon. I'm just going to draw one real quick. And then let's talk about the contour fill. I can, first of all, my shape, right now it's a 6-sided shape. I can change it to an 8-sided shape. I can change it to a pentagon. I'm going to keep it at the 6-sided shape. There we go. And now let's look at the contour. I can echo this outline inward. I can echo this interior clipped, and I can echo it outward. I can skip the shape or include the shape. Okay, let's echo this outward. I can make it gradient. I can adjust how many steps I want it to have. I can adjust the offset, which is the space between the rows of stitching. There we go. That's a nice look. Nice gradient. tie it entry, tie it exit. So those are set. Those are set at default, by the way. That's why we didn't talk about them in level 1. They're set default to tie it exit and tie it entry. Okay, let's see if there's anything else that is like a must. I do need to show you one more thing, maybe 2 more things with level 2. Let's get a new design page. Let's bring in a new piece of artwork. Let's change this color. Let's change it to go back to our threads. Wild pink. Okay, so I'm going to fill this all with fill stitch. And I'm going to fill this with contour fill, the satin column. There we go. Now we need to talk about the sequence objects button. So maybe I don't want my toes to stitch 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the pad of my foot. That's a very cute design, by the way. And how many clicks did it take us to get it done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if I count the color change. But now I'm going to change the color of all of these. Okay, so now can you see the difference in those colors okay, or do I need to change this one to a different color? Let's change that one to plum. There we go. Let's zoom in just a tiny bit. Okay, so I am going to, right now you see I've got, see your stitch color. I want you to pay attention over here to the stitch order, because I'm going to change it all around. Right now the pad of the foot is stitching last. I'm going to click on sequence objects by selecting one at a time. My pad is going to stitch first. This toe is going to stitch second. This toe is going to stitch third. This toe is going to stitch fourth. And this toe is going to stitch last. So imagine if you had a design that was pretty intense, how much easier it would be to be able to click on the design page instead of coming over here and going right click, move earlier, right click, move later, right click, move first. And then if you're like my mind, I get all those firsts and lasts kind of confused, I'm not going to lie. So being able to click on the design page and be able to see how I want them to stitch out, clicking on the design page, for me is a lifesaver. Okay, let's get one more new page. And this I just want to show you. This is the program motif. This is your French knots. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to draw with the Bezier, which is a new tool in level 2. So that means I'm going to click and drag, and it's going to bring out those Bezier handles. I've got a nice little S shape there. Apply some motifs, some French knots. Let's make the beginning size 4.5. And there are French knots and candle wicks that are both adjustable by size. So if I had a Christmas tree I wanted to add some garland or ornaments to or something, that would be cool. If I wanted to add some little icicles, if I wanted to outline an applique with some French knots on top of the satin stitch, I could do that. I mean, the uses, folks, are 101. Okay, so that's all the hot spots and what I wanted to show you in level 2. Remember, your text is your true type fonts. It's the same. You can bring in vector art. You can change your colors, clicking on the color on your design page. You can show or hide your stitches to make your digitizing easier. You have a draw with Bezier. So let's bring in, real quick, let's bring in a piece of artwork. Let's make sure we're showing our artwork. Okay, to show you how easy drawing with Bezier is, normally a thing like the bowling pin could be a nightmare, but I'm going to just real quickly trace that. And see how close I'm able to get? Now, I still have some editing to do. Don't get me wrong. Like down here. What do we do down there? We change it to a cusp, right? But that's pretty good. Beziers are our friends. Don't let them scare you. Okay? Now I'm going to click on my create icon one more time to take us to StitchArtist level 3. And I'm going to get a new design page. So far we've covered level 1 and level 2. We're on our way to level 3. And now would also be a good time to let you know of our promotions that we have. Remember, we have 10% off all Embrilliance products with the coupon code STITCH22. 50 free embroidery designs with purchase of Embrilliance products. 10 free Embrilliance BX fonts with purchase of Embrilliance products. Plus free shipping on stabilizers and adhesives. Those are some pretty good promotions. I wanted to give your mind a little time to kind of settle after going over StitchArtist 1 and 2. Because 3, when we talk about the pathing tools, can be a little bit of a different beast. And some of the tools here in our image handling section can be a little bit confusing and cause problems if you're not careful. Okay? So again, we still have our show or hide background image and our show and hide stitches. We still have our sequence objects by selecting them one at a time on our design page. We didn't go over this, but we have the continuous view mode. It's just a view mode. We have the auto scroll, which when drawing will automatically scroll through your design page. And then these two here, folks, delay stitch generation and generate now. Be mindful of these because these can make it look like your software is broken if you click one of these accidentally. If you click Delay Stitch Generation and then start drawing and applying stitches and don't remember to click Generate Now, it's going to appear like your software is not functioning properly when all you need to do is click Generate Now. So these two buttons need to work together. You need to remember that. These two buttons are best buddies. Okay, over here, new, we have add, not inclination lines, add cut lines, embossing lines to a filled object. That's new. And then we have a line magic wand, which is new. We have the marrow stitch outline, which is new. And then we have all of these pathing tools. And that's what we're going to focus on. Before I get there, though, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get a quick shape. Let's just bring in the circle and apply the marrowed edge to it. Let's zoom in so we can see what that marrowed edge looks like. Can you see that? That's the marrowed edge. So that's a patch edge is what some people call it. That's what you would use to make patches. And if you notice, it gives you an applique position and your top stitch automatically. Okay? Not that these other things aren't important, but I really want to get to what's new, which is the pathing tool. So I'm going to get another new design page. I'm going to bring in a letter. Whoops. Shift. Make sure I'm Shift D. So now these two tools here, these are best buddies too. They work together. You have your add a break line to a closed shape. And if your shape is not closed, this line will not be selectable. So if you think you want to use this and it's not selectable, your shape is not closed, come over here and click on your open close shape tool. Okay, so I'm going to select that. I'm going to draw a line across my letter D, right click when I'm done, straighten it up a little bit. And then this guy here cuts the object at the break line. So now I have a top and a bottom to my letter D, and I'm going to apply applique to those, and then I'm going to come over here and put a name in the center. Fill it with some satin column. There we go. Those are our first two pathing tools. Let's get another new page. Let's talk about the logical and, which recreates an object where they're overlapped. Okay, so I'm going to get the quick shapes, and I'm going to real quick draw two circles. Select them both. Come over here to my logical and you notice I have my first circle, my second circle, and an area where they overlap. Okay, I'm going to delete that area for now. And I'm going to add one more circle. This is going to subtract or remove the area that is overlapped. So let's select all. Let's click on subtract or remove the area that's overlapped and see what that did. It removed everything that was overlapped except for this one little section here. Let's undo that and go to the next tool, which is going to be Union. What that does, when you select all, it allows you to create an area that encompasses all of, you see, I've got an area down here that encompasses all three of my circles. It creates a union shape. We'll talk about that one with a little more in depth in just a bit. And then flattens the objects, removing all the overlaps. So it's a little bit different than this one here where it removes the area that's overlapped. This one removes the overlaps themselves. So let's click on that. Let's select everything. Let's click on that. So see what that one gave us? That's how you remove your overlap in your designs when you're creating designs in StitchArtist Level 3. You just don't put the stitches there in the first place. You use one of your pathing tools to eliminate the area so you don't put stitches there, or draw, if you're in level 1, draw around that area so you're not putting stitches there. There's a lot of creative ways where you can omit areas and not put stitches. But remember, a little bit of overlap is a good thing, folks, because it adds depth and texture to your embroidery. Okay, so we've got 2 more tools to talk about. And to do that, I'm going to get a new design page. I'm going to come up here and click on my text button to create some letters. I'm going to go to London, just something that I happen to have on my computer. Let's see, let's type the name Robin. Go back to StitchArtist Level 3. Let's create an outline from the stitches on my design page. Yes, I can create an outline from stitches on my design page. Let's select my stitches. And now I've created an outline. Now I can union that outline. Okay, it doesn't like this name, but let's start over again. Get another new page. Go to my text. Let's zoom in. Since I can't make this any bigger, let's zoom in so we can see it really well. Let's create an outline from stitches on the page. Let's union my outline. Actually, let's inflate my outline first. That might be a little bit much. Okay, let's remove the holes. Click OK. Now let's union. So we can make all these guys go away. Make all these other ones go away. Schnikes. Everything but the last one. I want to delete. We'll just do it the old-fashioned way. There we go. There's our outline. Let's apply a satin stitch to that. Let's change our color. And now you're halfway to making a snap tab. Okay, let's go through that one more time so we're all clear. Let's get a new design page. Let's come over here and select some letters. Let's go back to StitchArtist level 3. Let's create an outline from stitches on the page. Let's inflate that outline. Let's remove our holes. Let's click OK. And now let's union that. So we can only union the outline, the outwork. There we go. Select the first or the last, and come up here and hold down our shift key and select the first. Click the delete button. There we go. We've got one little guy here that's a hanger-on hole. So we will go to our create menu, outline, and separate holes. So now I can select that, delete it, apply a satin stitch to that, change our color, and there we go. Okay, we have one more exercise, and that's to go through and digitize a quick design using some of these pathing tools. So I'm going to get another new design page. I'm going to go to Vector. And open up the ladybug. Let's look at the parts we have on this ladybug. See the ladybug? Remember I told you to delete overlapping stitches? Well, I don't mind part of the ladybug stitching, or I don't mind the ladybug dots stitching on top, but I don't necessarily want the wing stitching on top. So I am going to select the ladybug body. Select the wing, hold down the control key, select the wing, and subtract that. And see what that's done? That subtracted that section of the ladybug. Let's do that one more time to select the second wing. Control select, subtract. Let's go back up here to look at the rest of the ladybug. See how the ladybug image has changed? Now I've got two wing outlines where there are not going to be any stitches. So now I'm going to select that and fill it with fill. And this could take a moment, folks, so please be patient. This is a good time to get your questions in. And also a good time to talk about the promotions. 10% off all Embrilliance products with coupon code STITCH22. That's coupon code STITCH22. 50 free embroidery designs with purchase of Embrilliance products. 10 free Embrilliance BX fonts with purchase of Embrilliance products. And free shipping on stabilizers and adhesives. This has a lot of little areas to think about and stitch around, so it's taking a little bit of time. There we go. But see, it's very important that I get to this point so you can see how it did not stitch in the wings. So now I can come up here. I can select the wing. I can change the color. Now let's find the other wing. There we go. There it is. Remember, let's go to our palettes, select the red, click OK, fill it with fill stitch. There we go. And now all these guys, these two here, I'm going to select both of those together. No, that's not both of those. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to change it to white. Search my Robeson Anton thread palette. And these guys are all going to be black. This is going to be white. Go back to our palettes. Oh, shnikes. We want satin column, not satin border. It's coming to life. It's coming to life. There we go. We're getting it. We're getting it. Last two pieces. Change the colors to red. There we go. Just that quick and easy. In level 3, we were able to remove the overlap, use our thread palette, add stitches to our design, and it's ready to stitch. Ready for a test sew. I can see some things right now that I may want to change. Some of the areas I filled with a fill stitch as opposed to a satin, and I think I want them all satin. But there we go. So we covered lots, so I expect lots of questions. So I'll be here for a few minutes after this session to answer any questions you may have. Don't forget to, you can also text or send a ticket in to the product support team at Embrilliance if you have any questions. I know we covered a lot of material, but I hope that you noticed none of it was really very hard. I did move kind of quickly, but none of it was really very hard. It's just a matter of getting the handle, getting used to the tools and how to use them. I hope I made it because it was so quick. I hope I made it look easy because it was so quick. I'm not a digitizer. So if I can do this being not a digitizer, certainly you can do this. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed our dive into digitizing session with StitchArtist. I look forward to seeing you next time. For myself, Embrilliance, and embroiderydesigns.com, I want to thank you very much for your time. I hope it was time well spent. Have a good rest of your day.